Your favorite fat boys.
What's up, everybody? It's favorite fat boy, Jerron.
Stefan, a.k.a. Mayhem, a.k.a. Mr. Roofie Collider, a.k.a. your critical race terrorist.
Critical race terrorist, a.k.a. Rufie Culata. What's your flavor?
Mint.
I'm a strawberry kind of guy. Now it's like we was playing. So, how's everybody doing out there? How you doing today, Stefan?
I'm fantastic, as always.
That's great to hear. So, the last episode we did was what, like 5 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's been over a month.
Yeah. Sorry, we can get back to y'all sooner. It's been hot. A little heat wave going on. Stefan won't turn on the AC.
It's cool in the studio.
It is, but it's hot to get over here.
That does have to do with your car, not to do with my AC.
You turn the AC upstairs on?
That's true.
Just be hot. And I need to be in a relaxed, cool climate conditions.
Talk to your parents about that.
I'm talking to you about it. You can turn the air on for me. Anywho, so we got a few things we want to, talk about, and I guess another episode of kind of like what's going on in the world. We want to just touch on those main topics. So we'll start with. We gonna do a rundown, or just
jump right in.
Just jump right in. So everyone's favorite American dad, Bill Cosby, got released from prison. Because he was supposed to serve I think a 3 to 10 year stint.
Yeah, 10-year sentence.
Yeah, so, and he only served 2 years.
Got released after 2.
And it was on a technicality, right? So what was the technicality?
So, before I get to the technicality, we got to go over the case a little bit.
Okay.
So back, I believe, in 2005, Bill Cosby was brought in to a court trial from a young lady who claimed that he had gave her some drugs and raped her. Said, and apparently this is a thing that had been going on with Bill Cosby for years.
Yes.
But, allegedly. We'll go allegedly.
Okay.
So now the prosecuting attorney at the time in Pennsylvania, Bruce Castor, who, mind you, went on to represent Trump at his second impeachment trial, so grade A character person there, decided that he didn't have enough evidence to prosecute Bill Cosby, but he gave him a sweetheart deal saying that we'll make this a civil case where you won't get prosecuted now, give you immunity to prosecution if you testify in this case. Which he did. He testified to, yes, I buy Quaaludes to put in women's drinks to have sex with them.
And what's the Quaalude?
You can think of it as a date rape drug, sort of like Rufinol.
Okay.
Ruhypnol. So he admitted to this in court, and I believe in 2006. And the woman ended up getting a settlement of $3.3 million.
God damn. Go ahead.
And then that was the end of it. Some years later, Bruce Castor retires from being prosecutor of Pennsylvania because he fucking sucks. A new prosecutor comes in, is going over cases, sees the Bill Cosby case and says, what the fuck is this? We got to prosecute this man. Mm-hmm. So that's when you get to the 2015 case. They found the woman whose statute of limitation for rape was not up, because there's a statute of limitation for rape.
Oh, I felt about that.
That's just the law. At some point, you just got to let it go. So they get this woman, and they say, we are prosecuting, and the prosecutor says, we are going after this man. He's a fucking monster. So they used this testimony that he gave for the civil case, and they had brought in 60 women who had also made claims of Bill Cosby raping them.
Yeah.
And Bruce Castor gets on the stand and says, hey, I gave Bill Cosby this deal that I wasn't going to prosecute him. That he gets immunity from being prosecuted for this act because he testified. The current judge that was presiding over the case says, whatever deal that you made with Bill Cosby does not apply to this prosecutor. So they go on with the trial. Bill Cosby gets found guilty of all charges, gets sentenced to 10 years, goes to prison. After 2 years, Bill Cosby has his lawyer. He's spending millions of dollars a year, got his lawyers working. They get the case brought up to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, who overturns the case, saying that Bruce Castor had this deal in place. Y'all should not have been able to use this to prosecute Bill Cosby. He should have had immunity.
So how does the rapist get immunity?
Because the prosecutor gave it to him.
That's
how that works. The prosecutor gave him immunity for being charged for the rape of a woman.
So you testify in your own trial, but I won't use that against you.
Yeah, he made it a civil case so that he wouldn't go to jail if he testified, but he wouldn't get Fifth Amendment protections. I mean, so he wouldn't be able to plead the Fifth, but he wouldn't go to jail for the testifying.
All I'm hearing is loophole.
Oh yeah, when you got money, the law, there's a whole lot of loopholes in the law. So
Bill Cosby's a very wealthy man.
Yes, very wealthy.
So
for anybody who thinks that Bill Cosby getting released means that he didn't do it, you're fucking stupid, you're a fucking idiot, and Bill Cosby's a fucking rapist.
And that's science.
All day. So yes, he got off on the technicality because the previous prosecutor, who went on to represent Trump during his second impeachment trial, gave him immunity from getting prosecuted for the raping of a woman, just so that he could make it a civil case and he would have to testify.
It almost makes sense, when I say it almost makes sense is on the grounds of it's almost like double jeopardy in a sense. You can't try the same person for the same trial, or for the same crime. So when you say that this deal was in place, and then the judge says, "Well, we're throwing the deal out the window." Yeah,
a different judge says that the deal that he made with the previous prosecutor does not apply to the new one.
Right.
So they went forward with the case.
Right. However,
but the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania says that it should have been in place.
Exactly. That's why I said that part makes sense, because the fact that I get everything you just said, and there was a deal in place. The new judge said, "Nope, throw it out." But the Supreme Court said, "Well, the deal's in place. It should still be in effect."
Right, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Let's make the distinction.
Right, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, not Supreme Court of
America.
Of America. So this crime happened. Well, did these crimes happen in all of Pennsylvania? Well, you know that first one got tried in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That one got okay.
Yeah, it got tried in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so that's what I said. That makes sense. That the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania overturned that decision and said that should still be in place. Now, do I agree with it? No.
Right.
Because
it's legal, but it's not moral.
Right, because the fact that he still, we can't even say he raped 60 women. It's probably more than that.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Right, and this has had something been going on quiet as kept in amongst Hollywood. It's something he's done. And me and Stephen were talking earlier before we started reading or recording. There is a story that you can find on YouTube by D.L. Hughley talking about his run on Bill Cosby over the years. And one run-in he had, him and Bill Cosby were going back and forth on the radio. This is before they actually were about to, start talking live on the radio on DL's show. And Bill Cosby said something slick to DL. So DL said, "What about all the women you raped and everything?" So Bill Cosby hung the phone up and called the radio station and pretty much said, if he airs this part of the radio, he won't have a job in radio at all in the world, period. And they let DL know that you can't say this, and he like, all right, I won't say it. But that's the kind of power Bill Cosby had.
Right.
So
when people ask the question, because I've had family members that say, how would he have gotten away with doing this for so many years with so many women? Because he was a powerful person. And who would believe that Dr. Huxtable was raping women?
Because they asked a ton of plenty of actors. I don't think they went at none of the initial core cast members of the Cosby Show.
Right.
But they've asked people who had like small bits and pieces roles, and they were like, you ever see him with women, this and that, and they were like, yeah, we saw women, that was Bill. But we didn't know what he was. They supposedly didn't know what he was doing. If he used Quaaludes or not.
Right.
And Quaaludes was such a popular thing back in the day for him. So.
Right. So, whether they knew or he didn't know. The fact of the matter is, Bill Cosby admitted to it. Bill Cosby was charged for it. He got convicted by a jury and sentenced. And because of this technicality, he was released from prison.
Right.
That does not stop him from being a rapist. Bill Cosby is a fucking rapist.
Right. And that doesn't, like you said, it doesn't mean he didn't do it. It'd be something different if it was evidence tampering.
Right, yeah. So the justice system works.
Yeah, the one time we don't want it to work.
Right, technically the justice system works. So yeah, that's the story there. Again, Bill Cosby's a rapist.
Interesting part to add on to piggyback off of that is that he plans to. Well, it's rumored that he's planning to do a comedy tour.
I hope not. And if he does, watch your drinks.
There ain't gonna be nothing served in them comedy shows.
Hell to the no.
And how old is he now? Like 88?
Yeah, I think he's close to 90.
I don't think that'd be wise for his health to try to embark on a comedy tour.
Oh, if that's the case, go on a comedy tour.
Because it's like, I mean, if you're gonna talk about it, he's gonna talk about it. But I can just imagine that people protesting and boycotting him and things like that. So
he admitted to it. He was found guilty of it.
Now, what is your take on Felicia Rashad supporting him?
I think that was the dumbest move. Maybe they're friends, and you kind of want to support your friends. I get it, but as far as a career standpoint, that was a very dumb move. And that she didn't retract the statement, but kind of try to elaborate, saying she was supporting him based off the fact that he was convicted and he shouldn't have.
Okay.
And she was like, I understand, rape victims, and we're not trying to diminish their story and da-da-da-da. But when you support the rapist, it kind of diminishes the victims.
It seemed like her backing, her supporting him was more so of, I won't say more so of, but she was looking at it, her point of view was like, you're destroying this man's legacy. But it's like, that's what's going to happen. Because
he destroyed his legacy.
Yeah. I mean, they going after him, but yeah, like, they took off the Cosby Show. Anything that had to do with him, they were like removing off of TV and things like that. And I think it's always a common discussion when these celebrities get into legal trouble, and it's like, do you support the art, you support the person, or how you separate the two? And what Cosby did for Black America, you cannot take that away. You can't take away that he projected the image of a family, a Black successful family,
right? And
just wanting them
you're
going to college.
far hard to change the stereotype.
Exactly. You can't take that away from him.
But Bill Cosby, the man, is a fucking monster.
Same thing with R. Kelly. Like, not trying to go too much of his shit, but yes, R. Kelly is a very talented man. Wrote many hit songs for people. His songs for himself.
Fuck monster.
But damn monster in the day.
And so Bill Cosby, congrats on getting out on your technicality, but you're still a fucking rapist. Alrighty.
So, yeah, go Hillman. What else we got going on?
Fuck
here?
you, Bruce Castor, because I don't want to say it, but I'm pretty sure Bill Cosby paid you.
Yeah, you're wrong. So what else we got going on in the news? So, Shacarrie Richardson, track star, qualified. Made a lot of headlines when she qualified for the Olympics when she won a few weeks ago. But she got banned from the Olympics because she tested positive for weed use or marijuana use, however you want it, what word you want to use. And it's why are we so hung up on these athletes using weed? To relax, because she pretty much said that she just found out that her biological mother had passed away, so she spoke to kind of relieve her stress and everything, which is totally understandable. And she made conscious. She's an adult. I think she's 22, 23.
Right.
She made a conscious choice. She knew what she was doing, and
so knowing what she's doing means that she should knowingly accept the consequences.
Exactly. I don't think she's not refuting the fact.
And shit. People might want to stand up for it, but nobody has to give you sympathy for your situation. And if the Olympic Committee says we don't want to find weed in your system, and they find weed in your system, I guess you're not going to be in the Olympics.
Not this time around.
Right. Next time around, maybe she might want to hold off on smoking the weed until after she finished competing. But so I don't have a lot of sympathy. I can understand that, people would be upset because it's just weed, but in a lot of parts of the world, just weed is a big deal.
Yeah, that is very true. Didn't Michael Phelps test positive for weed and he still was able to participate?
No, he tested positive. It was afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did not test positive during the competition. He tested positive afterwards, and then they were talking about, there was some talk about taking his medals or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was afterwards.
Oh, okay. No, lucky there, Mike.
Don't try to downplay that man's success.
I mean, I think he had the record.
Yes, he has the record for the most gold medals. In the Olympic Games.
Is he still holding it currently? Or?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's beaten it yet.
So yeah, I mean, I was very excited to see what Shacarrie was going to do because she was just so electric presence, during her qualifying for the Olympics and everything.
Right.
So it sucks though that because of this, they won't allow her to participate. But also too, I think that this also goes back to allowing these athletes to use other medicinal other medicinal medicines to combat injuries. Because I believe in the NBA, they're letting them use weed more frequently now.
Right. Instead
of using like opioids, they're way more harmful than weed is when coping
far
with
more addictive.
Yeah, combating injuries, because opiates can cause kidney damage, liver damage.
Oh yeah, a whole host of problems.
And you get addicted to these opioids, but you're not addicted to weed though. And that's how and some people say they have to smoke every day.
Oh yeah, I mean, some people have addiction. They have addiction. So anything that they use to cope will be continuously used to cope.
Right. So, as Stephen A. Smith would say, stay off the weed, man. But
best of luck to her, and hopefully, the next go round, it'll be a little better for her, and she can go ahead and compete and show her stuff.
But the Olympics overall, though, like they aren't doing a good job because last year they canceled the games because of coronavirus, because of the pandemic, worldwide pandemic, coronavirus. But yet they aren't taking, I don't think, the best measurements.
Oh, they most certainly aren't. One, because they're still holding it in Japan, and in Japan they have not had a very good COVID response. Mm-hmm. I mean, many of the Japanese citizens have been protesting about the Olympic Games because vaccination rates in Japan are very low right now. So so many of their citizens have been protesting about this, them still holding the Olympic Games, even though they haven't gotten coronavirus very much under control.
It doesn't make sense to have the games there if you don't have it under control, because then you bring.
I mean, once you have been selected to have the Olympic Games, if you don't have them, you as a country are losing a shit ton of money.
A
shit ton of money.
That.
So you gotta have those games, or you as a country are losing a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
So the Olympic Game Committee has a lot of power, and the place that holds the games. I mean, you have to spend a shit ton of money to get the facilities in place to host the games, and then if you don't have the games, you're just losing all of that money. So no country wants to do that. You bankrupt yourself because you didn't hold the Olympics.
So don't want to go into bankruptcy, but yet the death toll of the people goes way up. I'm taking my chances.
And they took their chances. So that's why they're holding the games.
Oh, I also want to read you this quick little article about that I found that the Olympics be on their best bullshit about. So swim caps from black-owned brand Soul Cap, product placement, I guess.
Right.
Barred from use at the Tokyo Games. So it says in the caption, swim caps from black-owned swim brand Soul Cap, whose designs are made for natural black hair and other voluminous hair types, have been barred from the use of the Olympics. FINA, who I don't know what group that is, but there's a rule that no athletes needed caps of such size, and the caps don't allow the natural form of the head.
Okay. I mean, I would have to see these caps. Maybe I'll have an image of the caps so that people can be a judge for themselves. Maybe they feel like they're giving them an unfair advantage. Because if they're made for big hair, then I guess they wouldn't form in the shape of a head, which maybe make them more aerodynamic. I know, again, I would have to look at the caps. Again, there's a lot of science to all this. But so I don't know what the Olympic Committee made the decision for, but maybe they feel like it's giving whoever's wearing them an unfair advantage.
But what, a swim cap?
Sure, anything that any technology that you add in addition to yourself can give you an advantage. I mean, there are swimsuits that you can wear that if you were swimming with them, you were streamlined as fuck. So any type of technology that you add to yourself can potentially give you an advantage.
Okay.
Again, because if I'm wearing a swim cap and I'm keeping my hair down, I'm making myself more aerodynamic. If you got big hair and you try to swim with that, you're gonna be slow. So any technology that you add to yourself can give you an advantage. Maybe they feel like this is giving them an unfair advantage. Again, like I said, I don't know about the technology that went into the swim caps, but maybe they felt that there was some unfair advantage and say just use a regular swim cap. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a plot on the black women to get their hair wet so that they can buy weave from the people in Tokyo.
Is that somebody's comment?
That's my thought.
The fuck? What? Why?
Why are you gonna ban them from wearing a swim cap? Because it might make them more aerodynamic. Because of those who with lustrous hair.
I don't even think there's a big market for fake hair in Tokyo. The Japanese don't typically need it.
They don't. However, they know a lot of black people coming to these events, to the Olympics. And you know the black women going to swim, so she might, when her hair get wet, she going to need her hair done.
All right, you try your comedy routine somewhere else. That's retarded shit right there.
I'm just saying.
Man, when we talk about logical leaps, that was a big one. God damn.
I'm just saying.
Moving on.
So we got like a 3-parter right here. So assassination of the Haiti president happened not too long ago. What was I didn't write down his name. I do apologize about that. But can you bring his name up?
Yeah, his name is Jovenel Mosley. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I hope so. Yeah, so he was assassinated, and that kind of threw Haiti in a lot of turmoil right now.
Yes.
So did they ever say why he was assassinated?
Well, I mean, the prevailing theory is that it was an ousted member of the government that hired the mercenary group that went in and assassinated him. So, I mean, it's not like it was, like the vice president or something so they could become president. Somebody, the prevailing thought is, a person who was ousted by the government and, kicked out of government had hired the mercenaries to kill him. That's
such a terrible thing. Like it's to me, it's crazy to hear that a president got assassinated in this day and time, but anything happens.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this is a mercenary group. The U.S. has been using mercenary groups to destabilize democratically elected governments for many, many years in South America and the Middle East. So, this is kind of par for the course. I mean, again, there's no U.S. ties to this, but having a mercenary group assassinate a president, history says normal.
It shouldn't be, though. In the midst of this, what's been going on in Haiti? Like, the obvious probably rioting and
outside of the political turmoil, them trying to figure out what to do. I don't think they haven't declared martial law. I mean, at least from the last articles that I looked at, they haven't declared martial law, but they have done a big crackdown on the country to try to get everything in order. Because regardless of what you personally may feel about a president, they tend to have a large following. Look at the January 6th insurrection. So the thing that's recently happened in South Africa with their president, who was arrested and thrown in jail for contempt of court because he was going on trial for corruption. And now South Africa has been in huge turmoil with his supporters burning and looting in various cities in South Africa. So regardless of what people personally may feel about a president, they tend to have a large backing. And so the situation in Haiti is kind of the same way. Mm-hmm. So your president gets assassinated. Haiti's already been in a bad situation, economically for a while now. Yeah. But then your president gets assassinated, so it's gonna burn shit down.
Yeah, I don't think that things are going to get any better anytime soon until they get, I guess, a hold on everything and
get everything in order. Yeah.
And then also there's Cuba, just going through it right now too with their the embargo.
The embargo has been a problem for Cuba for a long time. But what has happened now is that the people are feeling like the government has been very ineffective. So one, their economy is tanking, prices for everything is going up, right. And the coronavirus response has been terrible. So the people are fed up and they've been protesting the government. So there's a lot of coronavirus has created a lot of unrest, and just I guess the times in general have created a lot of unrest. So so you got these 3 countries that are going through some shit right now.
Well, the only thing I can say, and I hate to say it, but pray for Haiti, pray for Cuba,
South Africa.
Pray for South Africa, because there's a lot going on in the world that I don't know how everybody's keeping up with their news intake. It's just so much going on, and do you look at one more than the other? Do you try to support all 3? How can you support all 3? I don't have the answer for that, but pray if you can, or keep these people in your thoughts, because it could be us. So
I mean, January 6th, they tried to make it us. all of those Trump supporters tried to make it us.
They damn sure did.
So hopefully things will work out for these various nations across the world. But as it stands, at least in South Africa, the turmoil is starting to settle down, and I think the same thing is happening in Haiti as well. Cuba, everything is still ramped up, so we'll see how that situation goes.
Yeah, it seemed like this week it was more if the people from Cuba, like celebrities like Pitbull, he's been on his social media,
right,
making people aware what's going on and telling them how they can help out, things like that.
Right. So we'll see how all of these things change the scope of the world when they settle, when the dust is settled.
Shoot. And then lastly, we have here critical race theory being taught in schools.
Critical race theory, the new Republican boogeyman.
So with critical race theory, you said that's the new boogeyman.
Yeah, it's the new Republican boogeyman. It's what they're throwing out there to start their cultural war, because to disguise the fact that one, they have these draconian voter suppression laws that they're trying to enact, that they are enacting, and 2, that they have no real policy to help their constituents. Because critical race theory, 1, it's not new, and 2, it's not like it's being taught to their kids or anything. Critical race theory is it's a theory that's being taught in colleges and law schools. So this idea that they're trying to teach it to your middle school kids, that try to make them racist or hate being white, is some bullshit that somebody made up. Because if you were to ask a Republican what critical race theory is, they don't know, or everybody will have a different answer. So
that's what I saw. What critical race theory was that it was trying being taught to the schools, and then people were having these town hall meetings, and they were saying that I don't want my kid to be looked as a racist because they were learning about the overall history of America.
Right. Yeah, there is nothing. There was no state laws, no county laws, anything that says critical race theory was being taught in schools. I'm not even quite sure why it came into the forefront. I think it might have something to do with the General Milley getting asked that question, and he was like, West Point is a school, and we want our students to learn from all avenues. Right. So that made it blow up. But yeah, there's nothing that says, they're going to teach our kids this and it's going to make them racist, going to make them hate being white. The Republicans amplified it. I think on Fox News, in one day, critical race theory was mentioned almost 300 times between all of the constituents and correspondents on Fox News.
300 times?
300 times.
They had nothing to talk about that day. Because I think when you went back to that, you said that, what was that, General you said?
Yeah, General Milley.
Yeah, General Milley. Well, when he brought that up, and I think a lot of people were surprised he took that stance the way he did, it probably got a lot of people hot in the collar. Yeah,
the type of general, special forces operator that he is he's a teacher. He's supposed to, he goes in and, the special forces that, teach the militia groups tactics and weaponry.
Right.
He's a teacher. So, and as a teacher, you want to know as much as you need to know. So you don't just pass something off because it has a scary name.
Right.
Because you could think of critical race theory as more of an eye-opener for history, because it's about how, one, race is a construct. It's a social construct that's used to oppress certain individuals, and 2, that the laws are inherently racist, even if they're not overtly racist. So if you think about, let's say, the Homesteader Act in America in 1862, it was the act that the government put in place that says, okay, we have all of this land to the west, and we want people to settle it. Mm-hmm. If you're 21 years old and you have a nominal fee so that you can pay to sign up, we'll give you everything that you need so you can move out west farm on this land, build a house, you had to stay there for 5 years. They started this program, and then that will be the end of it in a history class. But let's say, from the eyes of critical race theory, we would go deeper in and says, okay, 1862, they were still slavery. 1866, slavery is ended, and now the Homestead Act says they put no limitations on who could apply for this. Again, you just need to be 21 and have the money for the sign-up fee. So again, nothing racist about it, but the law is inherently racist because if you look at it from the time that black people could start, applying for it, and many black people did, almost 4 million people went through this program to build land, to get money to start land over in the West.
Right.
Out of those 4 million people, only 3,500 black people were approved.
Well,
Less than 1%. So, and you said the law doesn't say anything about race, but the only people who are getting mainly getting approved are white people.
Right.
So the law is enhancing and enriching the lives of white people while depressing the lives of black people. And that's kind of the lens of critical race theory. It's not making anything up. It's not making you think you're a racist, but it's saying that the laws that are in place are inherently racist.
Exactly.
But again, there's nothing nobody has come and said, yeah, this is what we're going to be teaching kids in school now. But the Republicans said it. And then it's their new boogeyman because they don't have any fucking policies.
Now, if this were to be taught in schools, well, I would say, yeah, if this were to be taught in schools, what grade or what age do you think would be appropriate for these kids to learn this going forward, if that were the case?
The same grade when you start teaching critical thinking.
What grade was that? I can't remember that far back.
Like 7th and 8th grade, when you start teaching kids how to critically think, how to read something and take the context of what they read and say, okay, how do you apply that in a more general sense?
Okay.
When you start teaching critical thinking, you can start teaching this stuff because all it is saying history is not the sugar-coated version that they constantly give you. There's more to it. And regardless of what you believe, America was a racist country. Because even when we talk about the Homestead Act that I mentioned, we don't ever mention that the Native Americans who got pushed off of their land so people can come and settle this new land.
Exactly.
New land, quote unquote. So,
right. And the fact that they say that Christopher Columbus discovered America.
Right, yeah. So again.
And he should, that's how they shouldn't even exist
anymore. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it only existed because of Italian Americans who were pushing for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So people who wanted to take pride in being Italian, they were pushing for this holiday, even though, the whole story behind Christopher Columbus is bullshit. So, yeah, critical race theory is a nothing burger that the Republicans have made into something.
Yeah, they got nothing to stand on.
Not a damn thing. It said, and if anybody who, identifies as a Republican, if you could, in the comment section or send an email, what are Republican policies that are beneficial to people? Give me one, and I will shut the fuck up.
We waiting, ho.
I don't know if you a hoe or not, but give me one, and I will shut the fuck up.
I mean, I believe and I feel it's let stop. Like you said, stop sugarcoating America is this great place. Like his campaign, like Trump's campaign about make America great again. When was it great?
No, not when was it great, because there was plenty of times it was great. But who was it great for?
That's a better question. Because I know when he got elected president, they interviewed a woman in a cafe in Baltimore. They asked her, who you vote for? She said Trump, and they asked her why, and she said, "Well, I believe he'll make things back to the way they used to be when I was a little girl." So this woman was about 60 years old, give or take. So and when she said that, I'm thinking like, so you want things to go back to Jim Crow? You want things to go back to when they were separate? Things was segregated.
First and foremost, nostalgia is a bitch. Everybody wants to go back to a simpler time because when you're a kid, you don't really have to think about stuff. But I'm sorry, 60 years ago, when there's no internet, there's barely any running water going throughout to everybody's homes, I don't want to go back to that time.
Right.
Even if I was a white person, fuck all that nonsense.
Having milk delivered once a week.
Right. Well, because I love being able to drive a car and having a computer. So I kind of love my new age technological luxuries. So fuck that nonsense. And nostalgia's a bitch. So, but yeah, and then 60 years ago, that whole separate but equal thing, bullshit.
And like you said, who was America great for at that time?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Because it wasn't great for everybody here.
And the idea of society, and which is why I don't understand conservatism, because conservatism says let's pick a point in time and let's stay there, but that's not how time or society works. The idea of society is for things to get better for the maximum amount of people.
Right.
You're supposed to be moving towards things getting better for the maximum amount of people.
But then somehow there's socialism. We don't want that.
Even though there's still a whole lot of corporate socialism in America. Again, critical race theory is the nothing burger that Republicans are making something because they have nothing.
Yeah, they lost that great leader.
And I hope that people would get a critical eye to be able to see that this is bullshit that the Republicans are spewing. But we know that education in America has gone downhill for quite a few number of years, mostly because of Republicans. Yeah, so if you're scared of critical race theory, you might be racist.
That's what it sounds like to me. When these parents were up there talking about, I don't want my child to be thinking that they're racist. No, it's not the child's fault these things happen. However, are they benefiting from it? Will they benefit from it 10, 15, 20 years from now? Probably so. The same way you benefited from it 10 to 15, 20 years ago.
Right. If the system is making it easier for one particular group of people, the system is probably a problem.
There you go. And of course, they don't want to see their way of life to change. Or go through hardship and struggle like most brown black people have.
And nobody wants. And just for people who need to hear this, more people getting equality does not suppress your rights. It just doesn't. When I give another group of people more power, it doesn't suppress your power. You still have the same amount of power. I'm just trying to raise somebody else up to that level.
Say that part again. Well, you say that part again.
So more people gaining more power does not suppress your power.
That's what every white person is doing. So, thank goodness, because I thought for just a second there.
Again, when you start to level the playing field, you're already here. I'm not bringing you down to the lower level. I'm bringing people up to your level. So
now what's wrong with that?
I hope that clears it up.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that. I hope that clears it up.
Well, only time will tell.
So, all right, I think that covers everything. So we went a little longer this time.
How long we go?
It's going to be about 35 minutes.
Oh, that ain't too bad. They'll listen. They better listen. Stephon, come to your house and choke you out.
I will. All right, so that's the show. And as always, you can catch us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You said SoundCloud, right?
Of course I did.
Okay.
That was the second thing I said. I don't need you to check up on me. That's the show.
Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.
Peace.